Welcome back, everybody, to another film room on the channel. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver Calvin Austin III. A lot of you guys been asking me about Calvin, doing a film room on him, so thought I would oblige. Excited about this one. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see a lot of Calvin last year because he suffered a Liz Frank injury in training camp. So now that he's back healthy, take a look at how he wins, how he's going to help the Steelers, some of the things that he is going to have to work on or overcome at the next level. Just before we get started, please make sure that you like, subscribe, all that stuff helps grow the channel and helps me bring more content to you guys in the meantime. Got a bunch of clips here against some really good competition. Cincinnati, Houston, really good corners. Sauce Gardner, defensive rookie of the year. You'll see him make a play against him on this rep. And then the Houston game against Marcus Jones, who was a pretty good rookie for the New England Patriots last year as well. But I think when you look at Calvin, I think the number one thing that comes to mind is just the explosiveness. Just his ability to get to top speed in a flash. You see him playing against press coverage right here, giving a little jab step, a little A-step release on a drag route underneath. And, once he gets this football, Sauce kind of takes a gamble, goes underneath. Once he gets his football, man, he's able to close gaps and just destroy angles pretty easily, man, just because of his acceleration, because of that explosiveness. Even when guys like my man here, the safety, even when they have good angles on him, he's able to basically beat them to the spot, runs through an arm tackle right there, turns, a 2-yard completion from the quarterback into a 45, 50-yard gain. And that's some of the stuff that the Steelers have been missing on offense, right? Like they were dead last or, near the bottom of the league, at least in yards after catch. And I think that Calvin, his ability to make magic happen with the ball in his hands is pretty unique. One of the things I like about Austin is, in this Memphis offense, he didn't have a lot of like schemed up production. And what I mean by that is like these are real receiver touches, real receiver routes, despite, him only being about 5'7", 5'8". But, his ability to beat press with his feet, inside release here. And then I just really like this jab step at the top of the route after the stem, jab step inside. You see him swivel those hips, which gets Sauce kind of lean in a little bit. And then on the double move, gets vertical. And Sauce is pretty much beaten right here. He's forced to grab him at the waist. We're going to end up getting some penalty flags flying on the play. So we end up with a first down, even though the ball's kind of off target. But you'll see Austin really, it's all over his tape, man. The ability to, make magic happen on these double moves. I like the nuance on this route in particular because you see his helmet coming inside here as if he's running a slant. And that's, going to give a good tell to the corner that he needs to try to close that space and get underneath this ball or get underneath this route to potentially defend the slant. But this nuance kind of sell to the inside is going to create more separation up top. And that's actually a really good recovery by Sauce, but, he still had him stacked. Just some of the down, it's good and bad in my opinion. But we didn't really see Calvin play a lot in the slot. Like he only played 36, I think, snaps in the slot during his final season at Memphis. So he played a lot out wide, which, was good and bad for his evaluation. I'll kind of explain that a little bit later, but I like this here. He's going to be facing off coverage. This is a secondary release. I've did a video on this kind of release before, but this is kind of what I would refer to as a blade release. You see how he drops that inside shoulder to reduce his surface area. He's not even 5'8". So, there's not a lot for defenders to try to get their hands on in general, but he reduces the surface area here and then gets vertical. Against zone coverage like this, we want to try to find the void, try to make ourselves available to the quarterback. He's running this kind of like over the ball route, sits down. And then immediately, I like the hands catch. He doesn't let this ball into his body. And then immediately just turning upfield, getting vertical, for an additional, 8 to 10 yards after the catch. So really nice play on that one. With Calvin too, like his ability not just to beat press coverage, with his quickness, with his feet, but also to eat up space against off coverage. He can get to that top speed pretty quickly. And, I always look for these types of reps too when you're getting inside leverage. And can you run an inside route? Can you still get open? Can you still make a play when the defender has the upper hand from an alignment perspective? He does a good job stemming this inside to attack that inside leverage. And even though the defender is taking, those leverage steps inside, still able to cross his face. You know, another nice play there on the end breaker. Another really good example right here against off coverage. Just really like, again, this sell at the top of the route to get this defender kind of off balance. I think this is Kobe Bryant up top, but, he's playing in a bail technique, in a half turn. Austin's going to do a good job, stemming this outside to threaten his outside leverage. But this burst up the field right here is what gets the corner to kind of start coming back to the inside because he has to defend that kind of seam ball. And then Austin's going to quickly plant this foot in the ground, a really explosive cut, speed cut. But watch what it does to the corner. He gets him turned around, forces a speed turn. If this ball is, coming his way and the quarterback's actually looking that direction, that's a lot of separation for a college quarterback to throw the ball into. All you got to do is lay that out to the sideline. That's going to be a easy, non-contested catch. Something I like too about Austin's film is, he's pretty fearless over the middle. And that's going to come in handy, especially if he's going to be asked to play more in the slot than he was in college. But, I didn't see anything on film that showed that he wasn't tough enough, to go across the middle of the field. I wanted to highlight this play as well. It's just a simple kind of underneath route on 1st and 10, but really like the hands technique here, catching the ball with his hands. You see that nice tight diamond right there. Having to extend, go up and leap for the ball in the middle of the field in a crowd, and then, get himself down to protect himself against a potential big hit. But, Calvin did jump, almost 40 inches. So he has a little bit of bunnies to him as well. Austin also, another off coverage rep here, zone coverage rep, does a good job beating the corner off the line of scrimmage, to where Sauce isn't able to get his hands on him. You see that quick A-step to the outside, get inside, get vertical, and then he's going to do a good job of throttling this down because he knows, all right, I got zone coverage. Where is the window for my quarterback? Throttling down a little bit. And then he does a really good job making catches sliding to the ground. That was something in the 3 games that I watched that he did really repeatedly. Another zone coverage rep here. Just again, doing a nice job, protecting himself, going towards the middle of the field. Even with this corner driving on him, he's got this underneath defender kind of converging on him as well. Just he's a pretty tough player, man. Like I didn't see anything on his film that, told me that this was a guy that was only about 5'8", 170 pounds. So, Austin ran a 4.2 or a 4.32 at the combine. So he's a guy that can really get vertical and, stretch the field at all 3 levels. And that was something that he did a lot at Memphis. But, Sauce Gardner, this is, again, defensive rookie of the year in press coverage, a guy who I believe Sauce ran extremely well at the combine as well, especially for his size. He just pretty much dusts him here. Takes an inside release. We get another little head fake to the inside, trying to sell this quick slant. And then, boom, he's got him stacked here. This is that's NFL open right there. All you got to do is layer the ball over the top for that explosive play. Sauce is also getting away with a little bit of a hold here on the shoulder pad. At the next level, probably something like that gets called because they let college corners get away with a little bit more. But I thought that he played really well in a game that he was shadowed, by the defensive rookie of the year. You always like to see players perform well in those big time matchups. I'm going to look at the 2020 and the 2021 games against Houston. Houston has Marcus Jones, who was a mid-round pick for the New England Patriots. Probably would have been drafted a little bit higher if he was able to test throughout the pre-draft portion. But a guy that I really like, has really good footwork, plays a weight class above his size. But he's another smaller corner who can really, really run, track background. But watch this release here by Calvin Austin. Like, we get a little stutter, step off the line of scrimmage, foot fire, boom, puts that foot in the ground and gets vertical. He gets Jones crossed up, forces him to cross his feet. And then, this is off to the races right here. I mean, that is an incredible rep. His ability to get vertical and beat press coverage with guys in his face, even though he's not the biggest guy, his footwork's so good. And he has this release package that he always has a plan at the line of scrimmage, and he can defeat press just with his footwork, with his quickness. And that's something that I really liked about his profile. We got the chance to see him play a lot on the boundary, and we know that this dude can beat press coverage. Another good job, just kind of defeating leverage. This is just something that pops up all over his film. In college, you'll see a lot of these like huge inside leverage alignments from the corners whenever the quarterback's like on the other side of the field, just because in college, there's quarterbacks that just can't make these deep sideline throws. So they're going to give up that space. But Austin does a good job, again, stemming inside, trying to threaten this leverage. But bursting up field. And the key here is, you want to make this look like a vertical. Everything's a go until it's not. Get this defender, he's in a shuffle, back pedal, open up his hips, and then boom, break him off to the inside. And that's a good amount of separation right there for the middle of the field. Ball ends up going elsewhere, but you know, Austin he's a consistent separator, man. Like you watch his film, like this dude knows how to get open. He knows how to manipulate defenders, get them turned around. And that's something, that's a valuable skill set. We talk about separation for receivers. Separation's king. That's how you get targets. If you're kind of consistently open, quarterbacks are going to consistently look your way. Another second level release here. This one's another kind of blade release type at the second level that I was talking about earlier, but this is a little more exaggerated and a really good angle. But watch how he's starting to dip this inside shoulder to reduce his surface area. Good job keeping himself clean. Doesn't get knocked off too much of his path, but he knows as soon as he clears this second level defender, he's got to get back to his landmark, get back inside on this seam ball. And then again, another really nice catch going to the ground. I think I included, the end zone version of this. Really impressive catch, with two defenders converging for a nice touchdown. Calvin, he had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, but 18 touchdowns. So there was a lot of touchdown production. This is a guy who can not only create big plays, but he's also a guy that can, really put the ball in the end zone. This is what I would call like kind of a C-step release, but really good job kind of getting the cornerback off balance here a little bit. Even though he does kind of, in my opinion, have him stacked to where the quarterback could probably throw this ball over the top and towards the sideline on the outside shoulder, he elects to go back shoulder with it. Just shows a little bit of body control. And this does pop up a little bit more on his film than what you'd anticipate, but does a good job adjusting to throws, not just like going to the ground, but in midair. For a smaller receiver, you like to see those adjustments along the sideline right there. This was a huge play in the game against Houston. So I believe it was tied, but they're basically at the end of the game. There's only about 10 seconds left, and they're trying to go down for a last-second field goal to win the game. Calvin's, going to be aligned in the slot right here, going to run like kind of a sail route. Huge completion. This is the last offensive play of the game. Sets up a game-winning field goal. So a little bit of a clutch gene right there. On third down situations and in gotta have it situations, Memphis was looking his way. Like he was the guy. So he's used to being in those pressure situations. That's definitely something you like to see when players step up in those big moments. But again, really good job. Pressing this vertical, but also kind of breaking him off a little bit at the routes, at the top of the route, creating that separation. That's an easy throw. Another really good catch going to the ground. Him and Jones had a really fun back and forth both years. Both players won a lot of reps. It was a very competitive battle. It's something that I enjoyed watching a lot last cycle. But again, this one isn't against Jones, it's against the other cornerback. But again, another press coverage rep. Does a good job keeping himself clean. Back shoulder, high point in the football. Again, you'll get a good look from this angle of the diamond. Hands catch on the sideline, tapping those feet in bounds. He's got good awareness on the sideline. There's another good rep coming up here in just a bit that I'll show you guys that kind of skill set. But again, drawing pass interference here. He had a lot of explosive receptions at Memphis, but his ability to draw penalty flags was also pretty nice asset for their offense. We kind of get a little bit of a double move, but watch how he, is able to decelerate and just kind of stop on a dime and then re-accelerate and get to that top speed very quickly and stack Marcus Jones. I mean, um, Calvin Austin, track background. He was an All-American track guy. Marcus Jones, track background. These are two of the fastest guys you're going to see at the NFL level. But just going stride for stride here, and he beats him in a foot race. That's an awesome route, creating that separation. Once he's got this defender stacked, that's NFL open. That's good. That stuff's going to translate. Believe this is the rep where you can kind of see him run this deep comeback route against off coverage. Really like this one just because I like the sideline awareness. You see him kind of throttle down, understanding where he's at on the football field. You get a good look at the diamond, good hands technique. 2 feet in bounds. That's an NFL-like catch, even though you only need one in college. It's an excellent play. And again, they ran him on a lot of slants at Memphis, and that's just something that I think is just kind of an easy button for an NFL offense. You throw him these throws underneath, let him get the ball in his hands so that he can make plays happen with his legs. And once he gets this ball, you see him kind of really all over his film. It almost looks like he's moving in fast forward, like he's moving in 2 times speed, and everybody else is in slow motion, because of how quickly and how explosive he can get to that top gear is. He's got like jitterbug like speed with the ball in his hands. It shows up when he's, returning punts, returning kicks. This is a dirty release right here for the touchdown. I think we end up getting a penalty on the other side of the field. So I'm not sure if this is lineman downfield blocking on this RPO. I guess it is. But a good job just playing, with pace, kind of setting this defender up on the outside jab step, boom, putting that foot in the ground. He's got that defender off balance, is able to keep himself clean, not contacted at all, working inside. That's an easy throw for the quarterback. Look at all that separation to the middle of the field. That's money. So now we're going to talk about a little bit of just some of the things that are going to show up in terms of like weaknesses or some of the things he's going to have to overcome at the next level. As good of an athlete as Calvin Austin is, he's only 7'3", only 170 pounds. And I think he was probably playing at a lighter weight than that because they listed him at 162. He's in the 1 and 2 percentile for height and weight. If you look at his wingspan, 14th percentile, arm length, 7th percentile. Like, this dude is just as explosive as he is. He's just really small. He jumps really well, 39-inch vertical, 135-inch broad jump. The agilities are good. It's just he's always going to be small. And where that comes up is, when defenders are able to contact him, especially in press or soft press coverage, he has a difficult time getting free after they kind of get their hands on him, and he can't just beat them with his foot speed or his foot quickness or his release package. The rep's pretty much over from there. You'll see him, get contacted here. This is by a smaller corner, Marcus Jones, able to get his hands on him, and then boom, he's already pinned himself up against the sideline. We talk about like windows for quarterbacks to throw in. That's not a good window, and he's going to try to run this kind of curl or come back. And Jones is easily able to kind of stay on top of this because of the positioning that he has early in the rep, just establishing, good coverage, angles with his technique and physicality. And this is a concern. Like, even if he's going to be asked to play outside a lot less, against press coverage less potentially, defenders are going to be physical with him, and how he's going to play through contact throughout the route, not just in press, but throughout the route, is going to be important. So, I highlighted that, he's already a nuanced route runner. You'll see him use head fakes. I love that about him to create separation. But there are some times where I feel like he drifts a little bit on his routes. He does beat Gardner with a nice move here inside, able to keep himself clean. Gardner's in a compromised position. But then he kind of, starts drifting upfield. And, that is going to shrink the throwing window for the quarterback. And then this kind of stuff just comes up all the time, too. At the catch point, if he doesn't create a ton of separation, which he did in college against lesser competition, At the catch point, he just doesn't win very often. Like he had a 28% contested catch rate, contested catch win rate, according to Pro Football Focus, his last year at Memphis. And the lack of length just shows up. Sauce is obviously an alien type cornerback, but these are the type of guys he's going to see at the next level, especially if he's going to play outside. So he's always going to, there's always going to be some deficiencies, I think, at the catch point that, are just there because of his size. And he's going to need to be a elite type of route runner if he wants to be more than just like kind of a gadget player. And this is actually a catch, but I wanted to highlight this anyway, just because he does this a little bit. I think he can do a better job, selling his speed against off coverage more consistently, but also like on these stop routes, hitches or comebacks when he's forced to work back to the football. He has a really bad habit of taking a lot of steps to kind of throttle down, which is, something that he can definitely work on because the agilities are there. Like this dude can do it. He's just got to tighten this stuff up. But also, he has a bad habit on these like stop routes. Watch him fade to the outside. Quarterbacks, especially at the NFL level, are going to want you to come back to the football. That way, these corners that are a lot more athletic, a lot more explosive, and better at understanding route depths can't break on these underneath routes here. You see, Jones actually might have a chance at this, but he takes an extra step here too. But he's still able to, quickly come down. But I think a clean break or transition from a college quarterback probably breaks that up. So just some little stuff that I want to see him work on. You can't teach him, or you can't help him grow. He's really small, he's diminutive, but what he provides, with his explosiveness, his speed, he has game-changing, game-breaking speed, and that's something that the Steelers offense has been missing, the ability to create explosive plays. 4-3-2 40-yard dash, 1-5 10-yard split. This dude gets to his top speed in a hurry. Getting the ball. I don't necessarily want to label him as a gadget guy just because I think that he does real receiver stuff like beating press coverage, having a release package. You see that on his film, and that's something I appreciate. So I'm not saying that he can't become a real NFL receiver that runs routes more than just like getting screens and dump offs and reverses and stuff like that. It's just going to take a little bit more refinement. Him, getting a little bit stronger, playing better through contact. But I do think Austin could potentially be like a wide receiver 3 type at the next level. In terms of finding an NFL comp for him, I was kind of looking just for an optimistic type of comp. I think a good one could potentially be Marcus Goodwin, who played for the Bills, has made a productive NFL career for himself. Goodwin's also got a track background. He's probably a little bit faster than Calvin, but they're around the same height, got a little bit more weight on him. Calvin needs to, again, get a little bit stronger as well. But I do think Calvin was a better overall route runner and receiver than Goodwin, more refined, that is, than Goodwin was coming out. So if you're looking for an NFL comp, I don't drop those a lot, but I think that could be a potential one that would make sense. But again, I appreciate you guys sticking through the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Plenty more content on the channel for you guys to check out. Let me know who you guys want to see me break down next. We got summertime coming up, a little bit of a dead period, so I'm more than happy to look at other young players or any guys that you guys want me to break down. Please drop a comment. Let me know what you thought of the video. Drop a like. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I will holler at you guys next time. Peace.